If you're an empath who's done all the work and you still found yourself overwhelmed, collapsing, or wanting to disappear the moment life got intense, you didn't fail. You've reached the part of healing nobody prepared you for. And if you stay to the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what's happening in your nervous system and how to move through it without losing yourself. I'm Diane, and welcome to The Resolution, where we talk about nervous system sovereignty, embodied empathy, and healing from the inside out, and what it really means to stop surviving and start living from your true signal. If you're an empath who's done a lot of healing, and you're finally opening up your life again, letting people in, widening your circle, and then someone else's pain hits you like a wave, and suddenly your nervous system starts collapsing, absorbing, or feeling overwhelmed or even guilty, you might be thinking, oh my gosh, I thought I was past this. But this is actually the hardest part of empath healing that nobody talks about. Because healing in isolation is very different than embodiment in a real relationship. So I want to talk about what happens when you've done the inner work, but real life comes back online. And I want to say this up front. This is going to be one of the most important videos I've made so far. If you're an empath, what you're going to hear in this conversation is something that most people never name, never teach, and never really help you embody. So I really invite you to stay with me to the end, because what you're going to understand here can fundamentally change how you navigate relationships, emotions, and your own nervous system. So as I started to feel more embodied, more sovereign, and more stable within myself, I started widening my circle again. Coming out of the cocoon stage, letting people in, being in life, participating. And someone that I didn't really know very well, but who was in my relational field, sort of like a friend of a friend, was going through a divorce, okay? And there was a lot of pain. And I was present for a lot because I was close friends with her friend. And we ended up being sort of like a fun group of three. But there was a lot of emotion and a lot of grief moving through her. And when I was around her, something really interesting happened in my body. So my system didn't just feel compassion. It actually started to collapse, right? I started to absorb her pain. I carried it with me. I found myself crying later, feeling heavy, overwhelmed, and not quite able to place what was happening. And what made it even more confusing is that I had done a lot of the healing work already. I wasn't in my old rescuer pattern. I wasn't trying to fix her. I wasn't bypassing it, and I wasn't abandoning myself. But my nervous system was still learning how to stay embodied inside someone else's intensity. And honestly, it felt uncomfortable to even talk about it. Because in the empath world, there's a lot of misunderstanding about what empathy actually is. A lot of people think if you feel deeply, you're automatically supposed to carry deeply, or that being sensitive means absorbing. So then there was guilt, because here this person is going through real pain, like a huge, blow to her system and her life, like her life is blown up. And now I have to tend to my own system. And it felt selfish. It really did. And I also noticed something else come up in me. There was this moment where my mind went, you see, this is why we don't hang out with people. This is why I don't have friends. I'm like, see, I told you. It was like that old ego protector just came raging forward. And if this part resonates, stay with me, because this is where most empaths misinterpret what's actually happening. That story feels convincing because it offered control. It offered safety. It offered retreat back into the cocoon. But it wasn't sovereignty. It's protection. And that voice, it wasn't bad. It once kept me safe when my nervous system couldn't hold relational intensity. Sorry about the dogs. But now it's just outdated software. If I listened to that voice, I wouldn't be expanding. I would be shrinking back into isolation. And this is where a lot of empaths get stuck. They confuse nervous system overwhelm with truth. They mistake protection for intuition. They think, see, I'm just meant to be alone. But that's not your soul talking. That's your nervous system asking for more capacity, not less life. And here's another piece that most people don't understand about empath healing. Empaths don't just feel emotions. We entrain nervous systems. Our nervous systems naturally sync with the field around us. In survival mode, that turns into absorption, collapse, merging, carrying what isn't ours. But in sovereignty, we're not meant to absorb anymore. We're meant to stabilize. I often use the metaphor of a sponge versus a tuning fork. A sponge absorbs whatever it touches, and a tuning fork holds its own frequency, and it helps regulate the field around it. So when you're embodied and regulated, your nervous system becomes a tuning fork. But when you're dysregulated and unintegrated, you become a sponge. And this next part is the piece that usually changes everything for people. There's a phase in healing where you're no longer the rescuer, but you're still learning how to stay embodied in intensity. You're no longer hiding in that cocoon, but your nervous system is still learning how to stay regulated in a real relational environment. And this phase can feel lonely and disorienting, but not in the way people usually mean loneliness. It's lonely because who do you actually talk to about this? I mean, unless you have another empath who truly understands what it's like to merge nervous systems and to embody other people's emotions, to feel the collapse in your body, and to carry emotional fields that aren't yours, most people simply don't have a reference point for this experience. Someone else is having intense moments, someone else is having intense emotions. You're feeling them intensely. You're aware of the pattern, you're breathing, you're grounding, but your eyes, they're still sore from crying. Your heart still hurts. Your body still feels activated. So where do those emotions go while they're integrating? Just because you're aware of the pattern, it doesn't mean your nervous system has mastered the embodiment yet. Yes, awareness is a huge win. That's like the first step, super important. Not rescuing anymore, another huge win. But sovereignty is a muscle. You don't lift your heaviest weight on day one. It's reps, it's training, it's integration. And now this is the part most people skip, but it's actually where embodiment happens. So the work isn't to suppress it, or to judge it, or to shame yourself. The work is completion. Letting the nervous system finish what it started. Sometimes the most sovereign thing you can do is give yourself space to integrate before re-engaging. And that's not selfish. That's actually, I call it nervous system hygiene. And over time, your capacity grows. Your regulation stabilizes faster. You trust yourself more in intensity. So just remember, empaths are not here to disappear into other people's pain. We're here to stabilize the field. And that is the hardest part of empath healing that nobody talks about. So that, I hope that you enjoyed that video and that it hit some good points and resonated. Super grateful for all of you for being a part of this journey with me. And if you feel to, could you please hit the like, subscribe, and leave me a comment. I really love all your guys' comments. So thank you so much, and I love you all, and I will see you on the next video.